Okay, our topic here is the holy Rooster-Dragon Mountain, Gyeryong-san, one of Korea's first national parks, ever created because it's very important. It's about a 2-hour drive south of Seoul, straight south near Gyeryong City. It's only 1 hour now on the KTX train. So much more accessible, and I do round trip tours there within 1 day now because of the KTX train. So cool. I'm talking about a particular phenomena here involving Korean shamanism and new 21st century developments. If I had 3 hours to lecture here, I would be starting with what is shamanism and explaining shamanism and then Korean shamanism, but there is no time. Hope you just have done your homework in advance too. But the basic things of Korean shamanism as it manifests, a gut, that means a Korean shamanic ritual, and you'll hear that word a lot tonight. It's gut. And the Korean shamanic ritual up to 72 hours. Recently, they're shorter. Nobody has too many anymore for a 72 hour shot. So, I enjoy it. Now, good ceremonies are held in established shrines, client homes, or sacred natural places near a waterfall, in some valley, up on a cliff, or something, just a holy place, but often in established shrines. And increasingly, in the last 30 years, there are commercial shaman shrines that, as you're going to see here, that rent out space so that shamans can bring their clients there and pay to just use the room of the entire shrine. Gyeryong-san Mountain has a lot of those by now these days. It's just something that happened in the last 30 years, renting space, because there's so many shamans don't have their own shrine, or their own shrine at their house is too small and inadequate, and sometimes they like to be in a holy mountain, special mountain. They like to do their ceremonies in different places according to the need. So there's this, and some top and secondary sacred mountains as favorite locations. See my website all about the sacred mountains of Korea. There's 1,000 of them, and my website is just elaborate in here. But there are certain mountains of Korea that are top and supreme, like a top 5 shamanism mountains, holy sacred place. And Gyeryong-san is one of those. And then there are many like secondary level and tertiary level such mountains. Okay. Oral tradition still passed from teacher to student. There's no textbook of shamanism. There's no Bible of shamanism. It's not written, and it goes from master to disciple. So different masters have different traditions going, and there's no agreement. Shamanism is not organized enough to be a religion. It's not considered a religion, although it has many religious characteristics, but it's not organized. Religions need scriptures, headquarters, certain established churches. Shamanism does not have that. Shamans become shamans due to a spirit sickness compels becoming a shaman. Spiritual illness, a kind of a mental or nervous sickness that forces a person to become a shaman. This is traditional, especially northern Korean shamanism. If you don't become a shaman, you just get sicker and sicker, and you might die. You become a shaman, and you find healing for your own problem, and then you help other people. It's a whole phenomenon related to global shamanism, but Koreans inherited theirs from Taiwan. 5,000 years ago when the Koreans were in Siberia, started south, etc. Now, clients pay the spirits of the shaman. It's a lot of money. You might pay $10,000, 10 million won for a ceremony easily for a high-level famous shaman and an important ceremony. Rich people, they'll pay $100,000 easily to hold such a thing. These are big money phenomena. Sometimes tourists, they ask me, oh, can I arrange a shaman ceremony for myself? What money do you have here? They do not come cheaply, and it's about money. Sometimes there's complaints. Sometimes people feel cheated. They pay $30,000 for a big ceremony, and their bad luck does not stop. They get good luck. They don't seem to get any blessing. They didn't get the promotion at work that they were aiming for. Whatever they're used to shaman. And it's very unregulated. Shamanism is mostly illegal in this country, and therefore really unregulated. Okay, shamanism has always functioned at its best when it really works as a kind of personal family or community psychotherapy. It's an ancient, primitive therapy, psychotherapy for an individual, but for a family, a larger family, for an entire village together. When people have problems, either individual problems, anxiety, depression, whatever, all the way out to a whole community, a village where families hate each other, there's friction and tension. A big shaman ritual can reconcile. Communicating with the spirits, finding out what's wrong, finding out what you need to do to fix that, and implementing it. And by the end of the ceremony, the person feels better. Family is hugging each other and crying and saying, I love you, I'm sorry. Or the whole village is saying, yeah, we should get along, we should, et cetera, et cetera. Deity, the shaman spirits, we're just about to see many examples of, and such. There are all these different kinds. There's 10,000 of them, supposedly. 10,000 just means very, very many in this cultural language of Korea and China. So, but there are different types of mountain spirits, and having military guardians and heroes with swords and weapons to protect and defend people, and such ghosts. Your grandfather, his father, his father, his father, whatever that may be influencing the fortune of your family today and needs to be negotiated with. And so heavenly angelic spirits, different kinds of angels, heavenly figures, the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, hell demonic spirits causing bad fortune, sure, fecundity spirits about childbirth, more children and such, disease spirits, of course, and healing spirits, animal spirits, tree spirits, dragons, definitely the dragons, mythic or famous persons, great kings, great army generals, or great philosophers can appear as shaman spirits. Have some discussion with the shaman, government officials. You never know. Anybody can be a shaman spirit. If a shaman sees that spirit, then it's a shaman spirit. Often they'll have somebody make a painting of what they saw. There's some shaman out in Incheon that uses General Douglas MacArthur. In the United States, World War II, when she goes into a trance, she can see MacArthur. So she has a painting of him, and she uses that in her ceremony. And nobody can tell you that, no, that's wrong, that's illegitimate, because shamanism is organized. There's no rules. There's no rules. In China, they use like Mao Zedong, the spirit of their shamans. These days, any former person Can be. Usually that person has to be dead to become a shaman spirit. They have to be passed away, living. All right. Now, very briefly, the history of Greek times. You got to understand this to understand the point of the next lecture. Leading position, the Bronze Age, when the Koreans were in Siberia and they come down here, shamans were the leaders of the tribe. We don't know anything exactly in detail, but the shamans had very social position. They were the chief of the tribe, might be a shaman himself. Therefore, they were at the top. Then, about 400 AD, Korea goes Buddhist. And remained Buddhist for like 1,000 years, 400 AD to 1400. And Buddhist and shamanism becomes secondary because it's not organized. Buddhism is very unorganized. Buddhism is the official royal religion. Lots of shamanism still happening, but underneath the Buddhism and in the villages. And it gets a little bit infused with the Buddhism. Shamans start using Buddhist gods, and Buddhism picks up a little shamanism inside of it, certainly. 1,000 years. Then interaction with Chinese Taoism by the medieval times. Chinese Taoism coming into Korea, but never becoming an official religion. This is a distinctive thing about Korea. Taoism did not become a religion, the Taoist temples and such generate, but the Taoist ideas and Taoist artworks infused through all of Korean culture, just not officially. So Korean Buddhism became the most Taoist kind of Buddhism in the world, and Korean shamanism picked up quite a bit from Chinese Taoism, including the art style, of painting the deities, such. The shamans started shrine buildings, painting statues that are kind of based on the Chinese Taoist style of doing that. There are no written records, we just don't have much evidence, but we just follow the stylistic evidence through history. Or assimilation, completion, blending with Confucian ideas, with Buddhism, just remaining as a root part of Korean culture. Then, Joseon Dynasty, Seoul becomes the capital here around 1400 and after, and got Neo-Confucianism. Buddhism becomes number 2, Neo-Confucianism number 1, Buddhism number 2, shamanism drops to number 3. And so the Neo-Confucians actually suppressed shamans. They didn't want them in the city. They would try to keep them out of the city gates, along with Buddhist monks. They made it illegal for Buddhist monks to enter the city. Buddhist temples in the city were torn down. A lot of the shaman shrines in the city were torn down, but not all of them. Some of them gained some official status, supported by the royalty, and continued just for good fortune of the nation, but it was suppressed, generally suppressed, driven, along with the Buddhist shamans were driven out to the mountains, including a circle of mountains around every major city, but other places were into the mountains. Whenever they had to live out there, they could not really be part of civilization. And for the Neo-Confucian aristocrats, the Yama, they considered shamans at the very bottom of society, along with prostitutes and butchers, the guys who chop up meat, and other garbage collectors, at the very lowest level. Like that. And it did frequently happen that of a middle class family or a high, at this point, because of this, shamanism becomes feminized. More women are doing it than men by the Joseon Dynasty because it's such a low class thing. Despite the men are getting educated and public life, and women during Joseon Dynasty, step by step, got more and more oppressed, lost their human rights, and you can imagine this made for mental illness among the women. a lot of Korean women in these middle class or aristocratic households were getting stress, anxiety, hysteria, we call it whatever, due to the oppression of women, the lack of human rights, the fact that they were treated. And so some of them going into this spiritual sickness, such, and that like if the daughter of a middle class family or a high level nobility family, the daughter of the family or a wife starts getting this mental sickness and then decides she has to leave home and become a shaman, the only way to heal, the family probably would just act like she died. They tell people, well, she died very unfortunately. We've already buried her. She's gone. It's too bad. Get a new wife here. Then she's dead. It was very disgraceful. That oh my God, they became shaman. Ruin the family name. So they would avoid that. They could suppress it. 600 years. It's surviving in the rural mountain areas, surviving definitely. The village people still doing lots of shamanism in the villages, and even the city people, like leaving the city at night, the midnight. Women, high class women in Seoul, would leave the city in the darkness, bribing the gate guards. You could bribe the gate guards, open the gate, they would get out of the city, go to the shaman shrine or the Buddhist temple. So in the mountains around Seoul, spend all night doing ceremony, ritual, whatever, and then get back before dawn. Get back in, and a husband would just act like he didn't see nothing, doesn't know what's going on. Whatever, but do this for the good fortune of the family to resolve spiritual problems on behalf of the family, etc. Increasingly blended with Taoism, Buddhism, and general folklore, just a root part of the culture. Northern and Southern shamanism, Northern, wilder, spontaneous, real possession, spirit possession. They can speak with the voice of the spirits, see what the spirit is talking to them, etc. The spiritual sickness. Southern shamanism, much calmer, chanting, set songs, hereditary. There would be a village shaman man, did the shamanism for the village during the festivals, and he would just teach his son how to do it. And it was just a way to earn extra income, and maybe no real spirit possession. It's a lot more boring kind of shamanism, and it is disappearing in Korea. Very few young men in Korea want to learn how to be a village shaman in Korea. Come to the big city and go to college. The hereditary positions are just dying out completely. There's very few grandfathers left to remember the stuff in the South, and it's just not very interesting to the public, except once a year at a village festival. Otherwise, it has no purpose. And so the Northern style shamanism, really dynamic, colorful, amazing, and lots of people should be using it. Now, what happened, when the communists took over North Korea, 1945, Soviet Union, and they started oppressing all the Christian ministers, Buddhist monks, and the shamans, oppressing them, killing them or putting them in labor camps, and insisting that they become regular workers. So a lot of them ran away. More than 1 million refugees came from North Korea, came south. A lot of those were Christian ministers, monks, and shamans running for their life. And some of the most famous shamans now, the really top elders were like that. They were refugees from Korea. So Northern style shamanism, by that, came into South Korea. South Koreans had never seen this before. But they were like, whoa, that's amazing. That's cool. And so now it has spread all through South Korea and even to Jeju-do, mainland style, North Korean style shamanism now dominates in Korea very much. This just happened in the last 75 years. Big phenomenon. Okay. After national, just did the northern mudang split. That mudang means Korean South Shamanism. And I actually translated southern. Yeah, difference, man. A great example, the great Manjin Kim Kumwa just died 5 years ago, I guess. I attended her last ritual ceremony. She was a friend of mine, friend to many of the senior foreigner community here, the RAS itself, really a friend of our organization. It's a tourism because she was maybe the godmother of all shamans in Korea, the greatest, many disciples, many grand disciples. She was 16 years old when she ran away from, she was 14 when she became a shaman as a teen North Korea, and then 16 years old ran away from the communist South Korea and developed to be the greatest. She was in her later years of once shamanism became a little bit acceptable in society, she was appearing like on television talk shows, being interviewed about what she was very well spoken about what shamanism is. She does. They should legalize this. Make it acceptable. Real advocate. Unfortunately, she died without ever seeing the acceptance. John is all that. It's been illegal, sort of illegal, softly illegal for 6 centuries. Oppressed in the 20th century, the Japanese colonialists did not want Korean shamanism going on. There's no use for that. Korean Buddhism, they tried to make it into a Japanese style. And now, then after all the chaos after that, but then the first president of Korea was a serious Protestant Christian Methodist Muslim, and he didn't have any use for shamanism. And then Park Chung-hee, the military dictatorships were very obsessed with modernization. And that meant getting rid of old thinking, old superstitions, get rid of it. As such, so they kept it illegal. They kept it illegal all through the 20th century, and in most of Korea, it still is. You wouldn't know that; it's common. But you know, now one thing Korea is kind of thinking, gambling's illegal in Korea too, and you don't have any money at a game. And believe it or not, prostitution is illegal in South Korea. Technically, but you know, go out in the nighttime, downtown again, whatever. Lots of things can be illegal in this country, but that doesn't mean that anybody does anything about it unless they want to. But it just keeps it in a subordinate position. Let's say police can arrest you if they want to. You know, they can always a prostitute, a gambler, selling alcohol to teenagers or shamanism. The police can get you if they want to, if they have a reason, or if they want to squeeze you for occasionally. They can do that. It's a soft legal, let's say. And it's still flourishing, hated by the Christians. A lot of Christian ministers still. Christianity is very powerful in this nation, very influential. And every Sunday they're up there ranting, do not go for a shaman, no fortune telling, do not worship Wasachi. It's one of the major things. They really hate it. They want it gone. They want it disappeared. Korean Christian, conservative Korean Christian. I've my whole career, you see, as a tourism professor, and I've worked for the Ministry of Tourism for 5 years. And my whole career, I've been advocating to include Korean tourism include Korean shamanism in tourism. Because the foreigners think it's interesting. And as I'm just going to show you, it's really colorful. It is very colorful, and it's amazing. Look at the shrines are great. Foreigners love it. And you know, include this in tourism. I mean, no. I have failed in this effort for 30 years. They keep shutting me down. Government officials are, no way. We are going to do this. It's root Korean culture. It's indigenous Korean culture. All the stuff that they want to show to tourists, most all of it is imported Chinese stuff. It came from China, and then they made it Korean style, but it's originally Chinese. That was Confucianism, the royalty, the palaces, it's all Chinese stuff. This stuff is indigenous Korean. You should be proud of it. No, they're ashamed of it. Don't want to follow it. I would say, if foreigners see that, they will think we are ignorant to people, that we are primitive people. We have no education. It would be sinful. No. No, we won't. So this was by the way, when I came here as an English teacher in the 1980s, you understand, 1980, 1982, I'm an English teacher teaching adults, college kids, and I brought up, I had heard Korea had shamanism, and I was interested. And all the students said, no, we don't do that anymore. No, that's gone. That's gone. My grandmother did that. No, we are educated. The government had told them to say that. They were lying to me. And I believe them, though. I believe them because, to be polite, you're supposed to believe the native people of a country. They tell you about their country. When you visit it, you're supposed to use them. I believe them. But then I went out mountain hiking. I was a mountain hiker, and I found shamans. Shaman shrines, and I've had rituals happen, and I pulled out my camera, really happy and excited, click, and think, oh, I'm recording the last. This must be the end of Korean shamanism. It's dying, it's disappearing. I'm photographing one of the last shaman ceremonies. And I had that feeling until you get to about the 1990s, and I noticed it just wasn't going away. And I noticed I kept finding newly built shaman shrines, newly constructed. This is like $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever. They're building such a thing. Don't they know it's dying? Who is spending this money? The disappearing thing. Priests don't do this anymore. Who built this? And finally, by about the year 2000, it was really hitting me as a bigger, more elaborate, fancy shaman shrines, bigger than anything ever built. I discovered the biggest mountain spirit shrine ever constructed in Korea. See this on my website, all of Korean history, and it was just opened in 2001. It was $1 million building. And then I'm really thinking, something, this is not disappearing. Somebody just spent $1 million on this mountain spirit shrine. One of the greatest Zen Buddhist masters of the nation. So it's not disappearing. Yeah. During the 20th century, when I got here in the 1980s and 90s, shamans had to pretend to be Buddhist because it was illegal. You say. It was illegal to do that. So they had to wear Buddhist clothing, wore Buddhist robes, like gray robes or red, and even female shamans, woman shamans, they shaved their head to be bald, and they put up signs in front of it, proclaiming that this is a Buddhist hermitage, something like Wan or Bokyan, the name of some Buddha or Bodhisattva, and then hermitage and something as their name. To pretend to be a Buddhist temple, because it was the only way they could be legally registered. You see, the way that they were illegal, real estate laws, no category, simply. In every country in the world today, it's like every modern country, it's like that. Every piece of land must be registered as something. It's a restaurant, it's a church, synagogue, or it's a mosque, a Buddhist temple, or it's a house, residence, or it's a factory, or it's an office. It has to be registered as something, and then you pay real estate taxes. You pay taxes according to your registration. That's simply the way they did all through the 20th century, ever since the Japanese started this modern real estate system here, there was no category of shaman tribe. You cannot register that this is a shaman tribe. There is no such category. You have to choose one box. Again, and so the only thing they can do is choose Buddhist temple. I am a Buddhist temple. And then they have to pretend to be Buddhist. And for bribes or whatever, they pretend to be a Buddhist. You're not doing shamanism there, are you? Oh, no. Whatever. And they had a big Buddha statue right in the center, main altar, and then the shaman gods over on the side Buddha statue front and center. You understand that's how it works. And temples have. And mudang pretended, hey, okay, got this. So this is slowly changing. It's been changing for 20, 30 years. The closing ceremony of the 1988 Olympics was epic. 1988, closing ceremony of the Olympics, they allowed a famous shaman woman to come out and do a dance of farewell to the spirits. That's a Korean shaman dance at the end of the big ceremony. They're saying goodbye to the spirits. That was part of the closing ceremony, to say goodbye to the world for the Olympics. And when me and my friends, we saw that on television, we were just shocked. Oh my God, they put a shaman on television. Who did this? I love this. That happened in 88. And step by step after that, shamans gained some legitimacy. Kinhua, as I showed you, the godmother, she started getting on television, and finally Incheon City made her an official city treasurer, heritage treasurer of the city, and allowed her to build a large new shrine in Incheon. They found some legal way to do that. And recently, in the last 10 years, there's been an explosion of movies, Korean movies, like Manchin and such, or Gokson, or TV shows, some of the TV dramas showing genres, showing it fairly realistically and in a fairly positive way, not negative ridicule of, oh, this is terrible witchcraft that like they used to show, but the shamans are good people. This has been a whole new thing, and it's really getting a social acceptance. So you must wonder, is legalization coming? Such the Christians and the national government are still no. Okay, but at least 4 local governments have now legalized shamanism, 4 that I know of, and this is before coronavirus. So I might be out of date. There could be a 5th or 6th going on. Finds the 4 of them, and they have they created a real estate category simply. In their local governments after we got democracy, local governments got more and more power. The national government stopped setting all the standards, and so these local governments were in the real estate category. Shaman tribe, you could register. There's all the difference in the world. They can pay taxes. The police cannot. They can act like shamans. Sandang, Gutang, Dido, Dorean, Sandang, means mountain shrine, ritual shrine, or praying site, sacred site. These various names used in different places. Gongju City, down south here, that's where Gyeryong-san Mountain is, and where we're sitting tonight. Taebaek City, where the great Taebaek-san is, another of the very top shamanism mountains in Gyeryong province. Sancheong County, on the east side of Gyeryong-san, the great Gyeryong-san National Park, which is also a huge center of shamanism. Sancheong County has legalized over on the east side. And Jeju, all of Jeju province, which has really autonomy from the national government, they legalized Jeju shamanism. is the native Gyeryong shamanism, but then that has extended to the mainland Korean shamans who have come down there and set up their shaman tribes. They have been also. So this is a whole new thing. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of reminiscent of how during my lifetime in Europe and such, gay people. When I was a boy, gay people were secret, hidden, had to pretend to be a straight person, whatever. But as you know, in the last 40 years, 30 years, gay people coming out of the closet, as we say, having pride events, hey, we are here, we are gay, they're being open about it, celebrities and the common people, and it's like that. The shamans in these places where it gets legalized, the shamanisms are coming out of the closet. They tear down the Buddhist sign, they put up a new sign, Korean shamanism, right here, come here, worship the mountain, shaman, and you go inside and they're open, they're it's a whole different thing, including that they're much friendlier. In the 80s and 90s, if I were a researcher, they didn't like me being around. They were suspicious. I'm an American. I mean, they thought I was, somehow together with the government. I must be a Christian. They thought I would be reporting them to the police. They didn't want me around. What they were doing was secret. And again, no photos. Now, in the legal places, they're so much friendlier. They're like, yeah, welcome, come in. And take a photo, go ahead, take a photo. I want to put me on the internet. I want to be famous. I want everybody to know about my shaman tribe. Look at me dancing. Go ahead, film it and the ceremony there. Now, 21st century, about 100,000 pros in a $2.5 billion industry. That's just speculation by some particular academic person because it's illegal. Nobody knows. It's like if you ask the question, how many prostitutes are there? They're trying to count prostitutes. I mean, you can't. It's illegal. It's underground. You don't know, but speculating, estimations. Some shamans have become recognized, government recognized experts. So they have a workshop, they have an official government position, they go on television, they have stages, etc. And accepted as Korean folk heritage, but still not for tourism. For a few like performance on stage, artificial stage. This is a Korean show, guys. That's frequently a part of tourism shows now as a real shamanism. There's still absolutely tourism. Should be, right? Most groups are very private. Still, a lot of the clients, the people who are paying the shaman, they don't want their face in a photo. They don't want you to know who they are, etc. They don't want the public. They don't want their neighbors or certainly their company that they work for. They don't want to know. They wait to the shaman. There's an issue that we consider still okay. It's kept kind of private a lot. So they often, when we visit something, I would say that still that will still happen. That's a very different attitude, shows what they do, and visitors. Some of them love visitors, some of them hate visitors, some of them throw fruit at me or other objects and curse me to hell with devils. Others say, oh, if you are here, it's because the spirits want you to be here. The spirits control everything. So the spirits must have called you here. Welcome, you're part of the ceremony now. Sit down. Part of our ritual, you can dance with us. Whatever. They're very different. It's very individual. When I take tours, I take group tours of people visiting the shaman tribes. I was telling them, you never know what's going to happen. You have no idea what's going to happen. Just let's see. There's so much that is unknown about Korean shamanism. But there's globalization now, spread Korean diaspora in Europe and America shamans are operating now who speak French or German, Korean American adoptees who can't even speak much Korean, mostly speaking English. Some of them have become shamans. They're operating legally in America as some kind of psychotherapist shamanism, or I think one a German woman as a healer in Germany with Korean shamanism. It's globalizing, and their websites, and now these shamans have websites, of course, say in various languages. It's rapidly modernizing and globalizing. Now let's get to Gyeryong-san Mountain, the Rooster-Dragon Mountain, one of the first national parks, always through all of Korean history, a very holy mountain, sacred mountain, to the Baekje kingdom, then to unified Shilla, then Goryeo, and then Joseon, always highly sacred and officially so. A great mountain. Now here on the, this is a ritual stage where they have the Gyeryong-san Mountain Spirit Festival every year on the third full moon. It's going to come up again soon, and it's such a big all-weekend festival of shamans and mountain spirit worship. The main stage underneath the peaks. Great place for mountain hiker. Great place for Buddhist temples. Great stuff. One of the main features at this mountain is still remaining the official royal mountain spirit shrine established by the King of Korea. And again, ever since Baekje kingdom, every kingdom and dynasty has used this mountain as a holy mountain and had mountain spirit shrines here. This is the latest one built about reconstructed about 300 years ago by the Joseon Dynasty using royal money. This was the central peak altar. Central peak altar. Gyeryong-san regarded as the central peak. 5 directions of Chinese Taoism: north, south, east, west, center. 5 directions. So there were 5 mountains regarded as holy mountains that were royally worshipped for the sake of the nation. And that's Gyeryong-san, the central mountain out of those 5. It's on your money. Right here, behind King Sejong, this painting that's behind the king's throne, the official royal painting of Korea, 5 mountains. 5 mountains, right there with the sun and the moon and red pine trees and waterfalls, but 5 mountains there. The central mountain, that's Gyeryong-san. Official. Okay, this building, this complex, again, 300 years old, a great treasure still remains. This is the only one out of the original 5 mountains and 5 shrines under the Joseon Dynasty. It's the only one remaining. All the others burned down, destroyed in the Korean War or something. 2 or 3 have been rebuilt in modern times, but this is the only authentic one left. This is what it looks like up close. A lot of people are here worshiping Buddhist monks outside. It's part of a Buddhist temple right behind a major Buddhist temple, and they take care of this shrine. They've always had been assigned to take care of the shrine. One of the responsibilities of Buddhist monks in their followers, and they're announcing here for the mountain spirit 100 days prayer, 100 days special praying, and blessings on the mountain spirit, and a lot of inside. You find a painting of the mountain spirit and the abbot of the temple, your monk, leading the ceremony here with all these many offerings. There's a mountain spirit among these things. This is the official mountain spirit painting from the Joseon Dynasty for this shrine. So it's typical as the mountain king, a red pine tree behind him, and unusual features of servants giving offerings and blueprints. But then the tiger, you always have a tiger in these things. He's got more leopard spots, and it's very funny. The tiger is glaring upward at the bird. He wants to get the bird, he wants to eat the bird, but he can't. Yeah, that the bird's gonna fly away. He knows he can't, so he's annoyed, he's angry. It's a bit of humor, it's folk humor. This is the catchy origami theme of Korean folk painting in an official royal religious painting. Folk humor. Behind there, behind the official shrine, is this older. This is not a 21st century shrine, as I'm about to show you, but this is from the 1960s and 70s. The Golden Dragon Hermitage that is an important, and it's right behind that mountain spirit shrine. The Golden Dragon, it's kind of Taoist and kind of shamanic, and they make it kind of Buddhist too. That's the Buddhist bodhisattva compassion riding on the golden dragon here at this shrine. This is the mountain spirit shrine, and down here next to it, the golden dragon Dongchun. Dongchun is a Chinese Taoist term. It shouldn't be in a Buddhist temple. That's a building name. In China, those are enemy religions, rival religions. Taoism and Buddhism is like Christianity and Islam, you know, they're against each other. And here, this is actually a Taoist shrine in a Buddhist temple, but really it's acting as shamanism. This shows the blending, the conflation going on here. The Golden Dragon waterfall. The dragon is believed to live there in this pool at this great waterfall, and on the rocks next to the waterfall, lots of shamanic worship back at these rocks from the boulders. Great, fantastic red pine trees around here. So it's a very sacred space. You see statue here of the mountain spirit. Lots of shamans come here and pray and operate. Spirit and the dragon spirit, and these shamans. I photographed these ones 35 years ago. So there's still many writing prayers on paper, lighting it on fire, and it floats up while it's burning, it floats up towards heaven. It's got a shamanic ritual they're doing here, guardian figures, stone shrines. Real shamanism. This is one of the most important dragon spirit worshiping sites in Korea. One of the prominent ones. This is my tour group from last year. One of my tour groups at the mountain sage shrine, mountain saint shrine, lined up in front of there. I'd like to bring people down here. Inside there, this painting. This is kind of a new thing. When I first saw this painting like 30 years ago or so, it was radical, having a male-female pair. Usually it's, in those days, it was almost always just a man, a male mountain spirit, a king of the mountain. That's all it was, but now a male-female, a husband, wife, or king and queen figures, and each one has their own tiger. She's got her tiger, one glaring at the bird from the other. Copy from the other painting is much more lazy, curled around here. And so, but a male-female pair, that was really new 30 years ago. And as I'm about to show you, it's becoming much more common. Female mountain spirits and male-female couple mountain spirits. The spirit of this mountain, Gyeryong-san, has always been believed to be female. It's one of the great mother spirits of Korea, the greatest grand matriarch of all Korea, according to shamanism, is the main summit of Gyeryong-san. He's the great matriarch. And her husband is the great patriarch of Gyeryong-san, the giant volcano on the border of North Korea, China. All the great mountains in between are their children and their grandchildren. Such a family, and she is the mother of Korea. Then there at Gyeryong-san, this mountain, Gyeryong-san, is thought to be her first daughter. Her first daughter out of the family, the most important daughter. And it's upset. Yeah, but it's always before, historically, done as a man. Male paintings, but now the female paintings are beginning, and female statues beginning to predominate. Fascinating. This is in we're now getting to the 21st century ones, the new shrines that have just blossomed in the last about 15 years since legalization. And I've been going down there as much as I can, these other places in Korea, recording all this transformation, but that's me. And the mountain spirit statue. This is one of my favorites. It's right near that temple we just saw, just outside of the national park. The two temples I just showed you, the royal one and the dragon one, those are inside the national park. These are outside national park boundaries. You can't get any shrine inside of a national park. This is outside the mountain spirit, and you see a tiger, dragon eating side. This is the tiger and dragon, which is an old traditional Taoist motif. It's a yin-yang, heaven and earth energies, the supreme energies of both heaven and earth, the dragon and tiger together. Here they're using this in shamanism. And on the other side of the altar is this, a beautiful painting of the female mountain spirit of Gyeryong-san, first daughter of the nation, etc. And this, when I brought a Korean American shaman at her tour here just about 1 year ago, and she really fell in love, especially with this thing I had, and vision. Notice her white hair and the white tiger. White is holy color to Koreans. Those of us with hair celebrate that idea and such. And a white tiger is more sacred, more holy than a regular tiger. White tigers do exist in Siberia. They're extremely rare. Okay. This is the outside of that shrine. The outer tree stone shrine, and then they also have an inner. Okay, the trees are festooned with ribbons according. This used to be those ribbons were put on trees only during a ceremony, village ceremony, special shaman ritual for one day. And now these are permanent. They keep it like this all the time. It's kind of, as people drive their cars past, you can see this, you know, oh, that's a shaman truck. You can see the stone tower. See the ribbons on the trees. That's what it looks like. Notice the liquor, makgeolli and soju bottles offered to the spirits. The spirits like booze. Enjoy that. This is inside. This is the main shaman of this shrine, who owns the shrine but also rents out rooms to other people. This is her private. Very honored that she let me photograph it. Her private altar with a Shinjun, assembly of the spirits, the dragon spirit, the dragon king of the dragons, young one, and a 5 colors, 5 banners guardian military spirit up there, and others very colorful. To focus the dragon king statue, but then behind this is also a new thing. About 20 years ago, I very first saw one of these. I think it was at Gyeryong-san, and I was pretty shocked and impressed with the photograph of it. This is unique. Now they're really common, these new shaman shrines. It's an assembly of all the shaman spirits. Shamans used to have individual paintings of each spirit. And when they got to that spirit during their ceremony, when it was the time for that, the mountain spirit, the dragon spirit, the grandfather spirit, the triple grandmother spirits, whatever, they would pull out that painting and put it up front to do that part of the ceremony. But now, for convenience, for modern convenience, having all the major shaman gods in one big painting just on the altar, and then you can refer to them one by one. The mountain king, Sanshin, the mountain god, my main man, and then over here, the dragon king. You know, usually see they're side by side, parallel in the 2 corners. They're kind of complementary. It's a yin yang thing, the waters and the mountains. and such. And then they do have a Buddha figure in the center, but he's not really a Buddha. It's Indra, the shamanic manager of the heavens. No time to explain this at the moment. Two bodhisattva figures are not real bodhisattvas, not Buddhist, and such. Dangun, the founder of Korea, the first king of the first Korean kingdom, and Sanje, the emperor of heaven, Taoist, Chinese Taoist, emperor of heaven. He's there. Then the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, these 7 guys, 7 stars of the Big Dipper, major Chinese Taoist deity that has become a major shaman deity here in Korea. Over here, the 5 military general spirits of the 5 colors. This guy is Sanshin Dosan, related to Sanshin. This is Sanshin of one particular mountain. This is a generalized Sanshin of all mountains and mountain passes and such. And Sanshin Dosa here. The scholar spirits, the spirit of scholarship and education, the white horse riding general. Here, the triplets, the sacred holy triplets and their grandmother. Sanshin Halini grandmother. That's all about conception, fertility, fecundity, having babies, successfully having babies, having more babies. This spirit, this is the original shaman, the first Korean shaman, Ari Gongju, the original Korean shamaness, shown with her accoutrements and such here, religions and stuff. So you see all these different shaman spirits, all the main ones, the most popular ones, in one big painting. And then you can just do your ceremonies in front of here and refer to. Okay, this is really cool. At the same shrine, this thing where the mountain peak, and they put this stone down here. They have a shrine here. Notice all the liquor bottles. This becomes a problem. I've heard this is a problem for shamans and some Buddhist monks. So much donations, and a lot of it is either sweet candy, sweet sugar stuff. So, and a lot of it is alcoholic beverages. So when it's donated, I mean, you don't want to just throw this stuff in the garbage. At the end of the day, it's quite a temptation. And many Buddhist monks, many shamans are developing problems of diabetes because too many sweet and crap and cookies and all this donated, and alcohol. They're really easy to become an addict at the end of the day, and hey, it's just sitting there. Yeah, temptation. It's actually a social problem. Here, stone of that peak. It's really beautiful, nice done, and it's the kind of artwork of a shrine that I've never seen before. There it is. This is another place, the Gyeryong-san. Gyeryong is a guardian general. Mudang means, ritual shrine, and that's the legal title by which you can be legal in Gongju City. Mudang, that's their real estate ritual shrine. And so and this is a new one that's rather stunning. A guardian hunter figure, the bow and arrow on a black horse. Very cool. Over here, a grandmother figure. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be the mountain spirit. She should have, if it's a mountain spirit, she should have a tiger with her, but there is no tiger. But still, it might be intended to be the mountain spirit. She has the robes of a queen and a mountain spirit staff with a dragon head. Great waterfall. Over here, servants. One of the servants has an extra bow for some reason, I don't know. And the great tree, the holy tree that is festooned with ropes and ribbons. That's a great artwork. I've never seen anything like it. Outside of there, the again, permanently festooned shrine. You could see this from the way as you drive past. It's the indication. They also have this lanterns there. This is their main statue of the Jangun, the army general guardian spirit, and right up against the mountain. Many weeks. They really use that to exploit it. But then this is the mountain spirit shrine, and for some reason they put up this tarp, this tent over it, which would protect the worshipers from too much sun or from raining. That's true, but it destroys the view. Right behind here is that mountain, same thing. The mountain beach, and this is the mountain spirit shrine. So you're really, I was explaining to them, I told them, this is wrong. This is wrong. Change this. It's like from the mountain spirit shrine, you should be looking at the beach, kind of man. This is another great place, the Dangun. Dangun, again, the first king of the first Korean kingdom. You have here Dan Mountain, Gun Mountain, Mountain, San. That's okay, it's a good down. This is a great place to discover. Entry, this, they call it Sanshindang, the mountain spirit shrine. That's their main hall. Buddhism. That's the main hall. Beautiful red pine tree outside. Their main altar. Lots of stuff is happening here. This is exemplary of the new 21st century stuff. This is really complicated. Got 3 national flags. They use a lot of national flags. They're very patriotic, but I don't know why there's 3 of them necessarily. This is the Chungbukgyal, which is Korean Taoism. It's the main holy scripture of Korean Taoism. See my book called Solitary Sage for the information of this translation. That's Dangun, first king of Korea. Okay, fits with all the patriotism. That's a male Samshin, man Samshin painting, a female Samshin statue. Right in front of it, servants, and that's the Doksan. He's Buddhist. He's a Buddhist saint used in folklore. There's a lot of other figures here you can see, smaller ones. A lot of stuff is happening here. On the side wall, a male and female Samshin pair. This is closer up the female Samshin spirit with 2 tigers. Actually sitting on 2 tigers there. And this close up of her, it looks like maybe it's a shaman herself. The shaman made a statue of herself as mountain spirit. Or maybe this is the shaman's teacher, because it doesn't look like the shaman here that was here now. Maybe it's her teacher who's already passed away. Not sure. A folk painting of folk rituals. Myself in that shrine. Over here, a Taoist reference, Dosun Buksa, the great Buddhist monk who invented Korean feng shui, Korean geomancy. He's got a tablet over here on the shrine, and the rest of it here. Interesting things on the side. More interesting things on the side, just stuff, Korean folklore, symbols everywhere. And this is the shaman who runs this, as you look at the clothing. The hair reminds me of a university freshman. College gone all the way. And being who she is, she's a shaman, proud of it. And she's very, very welcoming, very friendly to us, very nice and talking to us. And cut me off. I got 5 minutes or I don't.
If you want to get a question, you know, if you want to go on for 5 more minutes.
Any questions?
You said it's being with is it being with shamanism?
Yeah, Musok. I call it Musok, or even Mugyo, maybe Gyo meaning religion. But that's not really appropriate. But if they want to put it Mugyo, Mugyo, they want to list them together. Yeah, Musok.
And find in America, how do I do? Is there a text?
Well, there's many books in English now about it. Look at your local bookstores and websites. Great scholars like Laurel Campbell and the whole series of books. My book about the mountain spirit. There's quite a few.
You're looking at some questions coming online there, David.
And more for those. Is it common among Korean shamanism speak as a medium, spirits of dead political clients as a message of the. Oh no, that's very common. A lot of what they do, they go into a trance and either they embody the spirit, they become the spirit, the mountain spirit, the gentle spirit of animals. They become that spirit and speak with the spirit's voice, or they see the spirit. They see the spirit and talk to it. Conversation and clients has been. Oh, your grandfather has said that he's very angry about what you did last year. You must apologize. Something like that. Yeah, that's what they do. They communicate. Next question. During the last Gyeryong-san Joseon Dynasty in Seoul, the Chinese got a war on you. Yes, after China assisted Korea during the Inji War, the Inji went on, 1592 to 98. And China sent 100,000 Ming Dynasty soldiers here together against the Japanese. And after that, Korea was saying thank you to China and built 4 military shrines, thanking the Chinese god of war for them. Only one of them survives. All right, revered folk religion. Where are we here? Would you include him within the shaman pantheon? Some do. Some shamans do include the Chinese god of war as one of those great military generals. They include, yes, I was a shrine for able to follow shamanism on welcome because it was royal shamanism in this case. The royalty approved and established the shrines to thank China. And the way to thank China was to develop the Chinese god of war, who is not shamanist. Particularly, it's Taoist, it's Chinese Taoism, just some Korean shamans employ. Again, you can employ anything. There are some shamans, I heard of the shaman who uses Jesus Christ as a shaman god, sees Jesus, talks to him, possessed by him. I've never been to that shrine. I don't know if she has a painting or anything, but I've heard it's flexible. There's no rules. Anything can be, any deceased person can be a shaman. Audio quality was bad. I'm sorry. Thank you. Significance of rock region by people putting the rocks. Well, rock worship is really old and really ancient and primitive all over the world. Very first caveman, Stone Age people, they put on a rock shrine, either a prominent boulder or a cliff or a peak, or they built rock towers. And worship is really the beginning of human religion. And that has remained in China. It's not disappeared. Rocks and prominent boulders are thought to have strong spirits. It's kind of upthrusting earth energy thrusting upward, and therefore kind of spirit incorporated very much. Koreans build all it's shamanism, it's just folk culture. You ask Koreans, why are you building that rock tower? It's just what we do, but it's very incorporated. But around the world, rock worship is still a very major thing of indigenous cultures. It's not at all. Next.
I think that's all of them.
We should have.
What is etiquette for visiting a shaman shrine, especially if you don't have the.
You be polite, you go in cautiously. As I say, you have no idea. They may welcome you, offer you a drink. They come in and see my shrine, take photos. If they're having a ceremony, they might want you to be part of the ceremony. They don't worship with us. On the other hand, they push you with demons. You with disease if they can, and they may throw things at you. They may slam the door in your face. You don't know, you come up cautiously, take a look. They see you. A very common response over the decades from shamans, they just turn away and act like they didn't see me, they ignore me. They hold down, they snap a few photos, they're just hoping I go away quickly. And they don't speak English, they're terrified. So I snapped a few pictures and I go, but you never know. And so you like you show them your camera, hold up the camera, and they'll be like, yeah, go ahead, shoot, or go away. There's one shrine at this mountain for my tour groups that the first time I went there welcomed us, let us see all the shrines. And another one that the next time we went there, they were having an exorcism. Somebody was having an evil spirit expelled from them. You could hear them screaming from the back of them, and then they were, you do not come in here. Okay. More photos come too.
So first of all, this seems like a good opportunity to mention, in Northwestern Seoul at the Shamanism Museum next month, May 13th, you're having the all-day Gyeryong-san day, there's lots of shaman performance.
Right in Gyeryong-san,
Yeah.
the Museum of Shamanism. You can look it up. Like that, figure that. The only guy who's a PhD level academic, but is also kind of halfway a shaman himself. He straddles the two worlds of being really deep in Korean shamanism and knowing all the shamans and knowing everything, how to do a ritual, and he's a PhD academic. He's and he speaks fluent English. So God, what a treasure. And his place in Gyeryong-gu, the Museum of Shamanism, that'll be Saturday, March 13th. Last fall, I led a tour to this event. This year, I can't do that. I'm going to do something else. You can't attend that. I'll do it again in the fall after coronavirus. So they provide. It's great. It's all day long shaman rituals with about 10 great shamans taking turns doing, and Dr. Yang presiding over it. Very worthwhile to attend. You can.
So I did have a question also. So I understand why shamanism and also Buddhism and Confucianism, all these, worship military figures. But it also seems like the military is a little bit attracted to shaman sites. Like Gyeryong-san has the military academy and all things like that. Gyeryong-san here, there were some shaman sites revealed in that one military installation photo. Is there a reason that the military would want to be close to these places?
I think in both of those cases, coincidence. At Gyeryong-san, you're overlooking the Blue House, the presidential mansion. That's what they have. Military police are right up on the top bridge. They got military police, and then down below an army camp for defense simply of the government complex area. That's right there. So that's that reason. At Gyeryong-san, they established a national military headquarters on the south side of the mountain, where Chinese administration, south side of the mountain used to have it was a huge valley that had 100 shaman shrines. It was a very prominent area, and they just went and they cleared it all out. With the army headquarters there. That, see this on my website, that valley was predicted by the great geomancer Joseon Dynasty to be a future capital of a new dynasty of Korea. And then Park Chung-hee, the military dictator, put the national military headquarters right there. Is that a coincidence? Was he intending to found a military dynasty that he would be our founding king of? Was he intending that? I don't know. The only person who would know was the smartest man under Park Chung-hee, the brains of the whole operation, Kim Jong-il. And I had dinner with him once at a wedding, and I tried to get this answer, like, why did you put the military headquarters there? And it's like, were you intending that spiritual power, the new dynasty? And he would not answer anything, changing the subject, talking about goals. It's anything else?
One more.
you should have a tour to Dr. Yang's museum. But in recent years, I've never seen Dr. Yang, so as a connection that could be reestablished, I did yours.
For this particular event, we don't really need to go there with anything, we just sit and watch the performance.
Yeah. But also during that event, you can't really see the exhibits or the museum because it's also busy with shamanism happening. And so it's worthwhile to go there and see the exhibits. That is our history.
And it's really nice to have somebody explaining what's happening to you.
Well, yes,
Why is everything head out there now?
that's the role that somebody like me can play.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching.
Thanks very much. Well, we go on for a couple more hours easily. Your suggestion was heard. And John and Matt are both on the excursions committee, and that would not be difficult to put together a program to go out to, we come to the museum sometime. Now the weather's good, we can do some outdoor things. We appreciate very much your attendance and participation. I guess one of the comments that the sound on Zoom was not good. We continue to have problems with the sound on Zoom, and we're maxed out technologically. None of us know what to do about it. I've had some people email suggestions, but then I said, well, then come and help us fix it. I said, well, no, it's really easy to do, but it's not easy for me or Joanne or any of us. We're trying our best. So for those of you that are on Zoom, we're very sorry. We're trying to figure out what to do. We just are maxed out technologically. If you have time, you can join the RAS After Dark program. Our typical venue has been right across the way at the Joseon Salon, but they gave the shed a night off, so that's not open tonight. You got a handout at the back of the room when you came in, and you did click one up, waiting to come up on the way out. As our future, upcoming events on it. Our next lecture will be in 3 weeks' time on May 2nd. There's a date change there. There's a schedule conflict with our room here. And so in May, we'll actually have 3 lectures, one on the 2nd, one on the 9th, and one on the 2nd and 9th. Yeah. We had to move the April 25th lecture to May 2nd. So the next lecture will be on May 2nd. We'll be joined by Dr. Gongju City, who is professor at the College of Public Policy at Korea University. I have a hard time saying that. I'm just looking it out. Her area of expertise is North Korean culture, cultural history, literature, education, and films. And her topic, excuse me. The topic, what? Oh, yes, thank you.
My website.
Yeah, please make note of that.
It's all more information about this.
Go back to the slide for the website, please. So people can have a minute to look at that. Dr. Gongju title is To Eat or Not to Eat: The Historical Adventure of Food and Culinary Affairs in Korean Popular Culture. The symbolic triad of socialist paradise suggested by Kim Il-sung in 1957 characteristically begins with white rice and beef soup. The relations of North Korean official culture to food have always been complicated. Many puzzling questions are left unanswered. North Korean films and fiction are filled with images of rich harvests and patches, but they never show anybody eating. The good characters always skip meals, and the greedy characters are the ones who eat. Why do North Korean beauties often have triple chins? I had a triple chin once, but I don't think I was ever. Anyway, why do the images of potato flood North Korean pop culture of the 90s? Kimchi or burger? Which dish are the North Korean ideologists of today more proud of? male chef, a laughing stock, or a hero of our day. The lecture aims to clarify these and the paradoxes which surround food and culinary issues in North Korean pop culture. Could be interesting. Hope to see you on the second.